The sun was gone, not dead, but hidden behind a wall of ash and dust that had not cleared for more than 200 years. No one alive had seen it with their own eyes. For generations, people had lived below the surface of the earth, deep under, rock and steel, where light came from machines and air moved through pipes instead of wind. This was the world of one in New Haven, one of the largest surviving human cities. It sat far beneath the old land known as Colorado, carved into mountains and powered by heat from deep inside the planet. It was safe here. There were no storms, no fires, no war. But there was also no sky, no stars, and no sunsets. People worked, ate, slept, and raised children in the same way they always had. Schools taught history, science, and math, but most of what was learned came from old books or digital records. The past was full of mystery, especially the time before the fall when humans lived above ground. Eli Carter was a young man who worked in the maintenance tunnels of New Haven. He was 22 years old and had never been outside the city. His job was to check power lines, fix broken lights, and make sure the water pumps kept running. Most days he wore a gray jumpsuit, carried a tool bag, and walked alone through long, dark halls. He liked his work. It gave him time to think. One day, while following a faulty signal in Sector 14, Eli found something strange. A metal door stood at the end of a tunnel he had never used before. It was covered in dust and marked with faded writing. He wiped away the dirt and read, "Historical Archives, Restricted." Eli frowned. He had heard of archives before, but no one ever talked about them. Curious, he looked around to see if anyone else was nearby. The hallway was empty. He pulled on the handle. It groaned but opened. Inside was a small room filled with shelves of old data drives, paper files, and broken screens. Dust hung in the air like fog. At the center of the room was a desk with a chair and a single blinking light. On an old computer terminal, Eli stepped closer. The screen flickered and showed a message. "Access denied. Please enter code." He didn't know the code, but he did know how to open locks. After a few minutes of tinkering, the system beeped and the screen changed. Words appeared. "Welcome. You are viewing classified records from pre-fall Earth." Eli's heart beat faster. Pre-fall meant before the sun went dark, before people moved underground. He leaned closer and began to read. The first file was labeled Space Program Overview. It described rockets, satellites, and space stations. It told of missions that flew beyond Earth, to the Moon, and even to Mars. One line caught his eye: "How to humanity reached beyond the stars, but we were not alone." Eli blinked. He had never heard anything like that before. He thought Earth had been alone in space. But this file said otherwise. More files followed. Some were reports from scientists. Others were logs from astronauts. One video file caught his attention. He clicked it. A grainy image appeared. An astronaut floated inside a capsule. His voice crackled through the speaker. "We saw something out there, something watching us. We tried to reach it, but it vanished before we could. Get close. We don't know what it was, but we're not alone." The screen went black. Eli sat back. His hands felt cold. He looked around the dusty room. Everything in here had been forgotten, buried, hidden. He copied the files onto a portable drive and left the room quietly, making sure to close the door behind him. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling in his small apartment and thought about what he had found. He needed to talk to someone who might understand. The next morning, he went to the university section of New Haven. That was where the smartest people lived. Teachers, doctors, engineers. And one of them was Dr. Lena Porter, a historian who studied Earth's past. Lena was 41. She wore glasses and always had papers in her hand. She was respected, but some people thought she asked too many questions. She believed history should be known, not controlled. Eli waited outside her office until she arrived. When she saw him, she smiled. "You look like you haven't slept," she said. "I didn't," he replied. "I found something big." She led him inside. He placed the drive on her desk. "What's this?" she asked. "A piece of the past," he said, "and maybe the truth." She plugged it in. The screen lit up with old files and videos. Her eyes widened as she read. For hours they went through the data together. They saw maps of the solar system, old news reports and messages from governments that no longer existed. One file contained a list of names: astronauts, scientists, diplomats. Another file held a final report from the last space station orbiting Earth before the fall. "We made contact. They called themselves the Virex. They warned us about something buried beneath Mars. They said we were not ready. Then they left. We never heard from them again." Lena closed the file and looked at Eli. "This changes everything," she whispered. "But why hide it?" he asked. "Why keep all this locked away?" She shook her head. "Maybe they were afraid. Maybe they wanted to protect us. Or maybe they didn't want us to leave." "Leave?" Eli asked. She nodded slowly. "What if we weren't supposed to stay underground forever?" Outside, the city hummed with life. People walked to work, children played in the parks built under artificial skies. No one knew what lay beneath their feet, or what had been waiting in space. But now, Eli and Lena did. Later that week, strange things began to happen. First, the power flickered across several sectors. Lights dimmed, computers crashed, and water pumps stuttered. Engineers scrambled to find the cause, but nothing seemed wrong. Then, a new signal was picked up by the deep space antenna array near the edge of the city. It wasn't from any human source, it was coming from outside the solar system. The message was short and repeated every hour. "Earth, Earth, we remember." No one knew what it meant. Some thought it was interference. Others believed it was a test, but Eli and Lena knew better. They watched the message scroll across the screen in Lena's lab. "They're back," Eli said. "Or they never left," Lena replied. Above them, though they could not see it, something entered the solar system. A silent object, not a rock, not a storm, a ship. It moved fast and low, unseen by most. It passed Jupiter, then Mars. Its path was clear: Earth. It sent another message, stronger this time, more focused. The beacon stirs. The gate awakens. Back in the tunnels, the old spire, the one no one knew about, began to hum softly. Something. Inside it responded. Across the city, people felt it, a low vibration in the bones, a pressure in the chest. Some thought it was a dream. Others ignored it. But Eli felt it deeply. He stood in front of the sealed archive room once more, staring at the door. "We need to go back," he said. Lena nodded. "There's more to learn." As they turned to leave, alarms began to sound. A breach had been detected near the outer walls of the city. Not from within, from below. Something was moving beneath New Haven. Something ancient. Something awake. The alarms kept ringing through New Haven like a warning that no one could ignore. People stopped what they were doing. Lights blinked red in the halls. Security officers ran toward the breach zone. Eli and Lena moved fast. They left the archive room behind and made their way toward the command center. That was where the city's leaders would be trying to figure out what was happening. As they walked, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. Not enough to fall down, but enough to feel strange. "It's coming from below," Lena said. Her voice tight, Eli nodded. "We need to see it." They reached the command center just as Director Hal Granger was speaking with his top scientists and guards. The walls were lined with screens showing maps, camera feeds, and data streams. One screen showed a deep tunnel under Sector 13. "There," Eli pointed. "That's where the vibration started." Granger looked at him with tired eyes. He was an older man, tall and always dressed in gray. He'd been in charge of New Haven for over 10 years. "You've seen this before?" he asked. "No," Eli said. "But I know something is down there. Something old." Lena stepped forward. "We found files. From before the fall. There was contact with aliens. Beings called the Virex. They warned us about something buried beneath Mars. But maybe it wasn't just on Mars." A silence filled the room. Granger frowned. "You're saying there's something under our feet right now?" We don't know what it is, Lena admitted, but it's waking up. One of the scientists, Dr. Karen Lynn, spoke up. There's more. We picked up a signal from space. It's not ours. It's repeating every hour. She tapped a button. A speaker crackled to life. Earth, Earth, we remember. Eli felt a chill go down his spine. He remembered those words from the files. They're back, he whispered. Granger stood, straighter. If this is true, then we are facing something bigger than any of us imagined. He turned to his team. We need to contain this. No panic. No leaks to the public. If people find out too fast, it will cause chaos. Lena stepped closer. With all due respect, sir, hiding the truth won't protect anyone. If these beings are contacting us again, we need to understand why. Granger didn't answer right away. Then he nodded slowly. Fine. You two can investigate further. But quietly and carefully. Later that night, Eli and Lena returned to the tunnels. They brought a small group with them. Tina Bell, a former security officer who had studied conspiracy theories, Marcus Lee, a young tech expert, and Dr. Ravi Patel, a geologist. Together, they made their way into the lower levels of the city, past places most people never went. The deeper they went, the colder it got. The air felt heavy. At last, they reached the sealed tunnel where the vibrations had started. A large metal door blocked the way. It was ancient, covered in dust and symbols no one recognized. This isn't human, Ravi said, running his hand over the markings. Tina pulled out a scanner. It's emitting low-frequency waves, almost like it's alive. Eli stepped forward. We need to get inside. Marcus worked on the lock while the others watched nervously. After a few minutes, the door groaned and opened with a puff of stale air. Inside was darkness. They turned on their lights and stepped in. The tunnel was wide and smooth, like it had been built by machines. The walls shimmered faintly, reflecting their beams. They walked for what felt like miles. The deeper they went, the stronger the hum became. It wasn't loud, but it pressed against their chests like a heartbeat. Finally, the tunnel opened into a huge chamber. Everyone stopped. In the center of the room stood a structure unlike anything they had ever seen. It was tall and black, shaped like a spire. It pulsed with soft blue light. What is that? Tina whispered. Ravi shook his head. Not natural, not human. Eli stepped closer. As he did, the lights on the spire brightened. Symbols appeared across its surface, symbols they had seen in the old files. Lena gasped. It's reacting to us. Suddenly the room filled with sound, not loud but clear. You have awakened. The sky remembers you. Everyone froze. Eli looked around. Did anyone speak? No one answered. The voice came again. The Virex return. Prepare. Then silence. The lights dimmed, and the spire stood still once more. Back in the city, news of the discovery spread quickly among the leadership. Though Granger tried to keep it quiet, some of the scientists couldn't help but talk. Rumors began to grow. People heard whispers of a hidden structure, of alien voices, of messages from space. Some believed it was a hoax. Others thought it was the end. But the message from space kept playing. Earth. Earth. We remember. Then something changed. The signal grew stronger, and this time it wasn't alone. Across the solar system, satellites detected movement near Mars. An object was approaching Earth. Fast. It wasn't a rock or a storm. It was a ship. Not human. Not friendly. When the first image reached New Haven, everyone stared in shock. It was massive, sleek and dark, moving with purpose. It passed Mars and aimed directly at Earth. Then another signal arrived. This one wasn't from the Virex. It was different, more aggressive. Your beacon has been activated. Your world is known. Lena read the message aloud. Her hands trembled. Eli looked at her. What does that mean? She swallowed hard. It means someone else is watching us now. The next day, the skies above Earth lit up. Not with sunlight, there was none, but with fire. The alien ship entered orbit. It hovered silently above the planet. Then it sent down a pulse. The pulse hit the surface and the underground cities. Lights flickered, machines shut off. Water pumps stalled. Panic spread. In New Haven, Granger called an emergency meeting. "We must respond," he said. "We must show strength." "Strength how?" Lena asked. "We don't even know what we're dealing with." Eli stood beside her. "We should try to communicate. We have proof of past contact. Maybe we can use that." Granger hesitated. "And if we fail?" "Then we'll know soon enough," Eli said. So they tried. Using the old frequency from the Virex files, they sent a message into space. "This is Earth. We remember you." For hours, nothing happened. Then a reply. "We are the Virex. You have awakened the gate, the others follow." Lena read the words aloud. She looked at Eli. They knew this would happen. Eli nodded. "Then we need to be ready." Outside, the alien ship remained in orbit, waiting, watching. And somewhere far beyond it, more ships were coming. The alien ship hovered above Earth like a dark cloud that would not move. It made no attack. It sent no more messages. But it did not leave either. People in New Haven felt uneasy. Some said they could feel something pulling at their thoughts, like a whisper just beyond hearing. Others felt strange dreams, visions of fire, stars falling, and voices speaking in languages they had never learned. In the tunnels below the city, Eli and Lena stood before the spire once again. The black structure pulsed with light, responding to their presence like a living thing waking from sleep. They were not alone this time. With them were Tina Bell, Marcus Lee, and Dr. Ravi Patel. They had returned with tools, lights, and recording devices. They wanted answers. Eli stepped forward and placed his hand on the cool surface of the spire. The moment he touched it, the room changed. A low hum filled the air. The walls lit up with glowing lines of symbols. The floor trembled slightly. Then, a voice spoke, not aloud but inside their minds. "You are remembered." Everyone gasped. Lena looked around. "Did you hear that?" Tina nodded slowly. "It was in my head." Ravi took a step back. "This isn't technology we understand." Marcus stared at the spire. "It's communicating." Suddenly the symbols shifted. They formed images, scenes of Earth as it once was. Forests, oceans, cities built under open skies. Then came scenes of the fall, the sun going dark, people fleeing underground, the last rockets leaving Earth. Then came something new, an image of Mars, but not as it was now, a red, dry world. This Mars was alive. There were structures, towers, and ships landing. Beings walked its surface, tall, thin, with bright eyes and long limbs. Not human. The Virex. And then came the final image. A massive gate buried deep beneath the Martian soil. It was sealed shut, and above it a warning. "Do not awaken what lies within." The image faded. The hum stopped. The lights dimmed. Silence. Lena turned to Eli. This changes everything." "What does it mean?" Marcus asked. "It means we're not just dealing with an alien signal," she said. "We've awakened something dangerous." Eli looked at the spire. "And it's not done talking." Back in the command center, Director Hal Granger sat at the head of a long table. Around him were military officers, scientists, and government officials. On the screen behind them was the image of the alien ship still orbiting Earth. "Need to know what they want," one officer said. "They haven't attacked," another pointed out. "Maybe they're waiting for us to make the first move." Granger rubbed his temples. He was tired. The past few days had been filled with fear, confusion, and questions with no easy answers. Then a message arrived. It came through the same channel, used for the Virex contact. The words appeared on the screen. "We are the Virex. Your beacon has been reactivated. The gate stirs. You must stop it." The room fell silent. Lena stood up. "They're warning us." Granger frowned. "About what?" She turned to face everyone. "There's something buried beneath Mars. Something ancient. And when we activated the spire here, we may have started a chain reaction." A scientist raised his hand. "If that's true, then what happens next?" No one answered. Outside, the sky remained dark, but somewhere far away, beneath the red dust of Mars, something stirred. In the days that followed, life in New Haven became tense. People whispered about the aliens, the spire, and the warnings. Some believed the leaders were hiding the truth. Others feared that war was coming. Eli, Lena, and their team continued to study the spire. They found more files stored in the old archives. One file contained a report from a lost space mission. Edward read that we landed on Mars, we found ruins. Not ours. Theirs. We tried to communicate. They left warnings. They said if the gate opens, the galaxy will burn. Another file showed a map. It marked locations across the solar system where similar spires might exist. One was on Earth. Two others were on Mars. One was on a moon orbiting Jupiter. Lena closed the file. They weren't just watching us, they were guarding something. Eli looked at her. What if these spires are locks? What if they were meant to keep whatever is beneath? Mars sealed? She nodded slowly. Then we just opened the door. At that moment, the ground shook again. Not hard, but enough to rattle shelves and make people stop walking. In the tunnels below, the spire glowed brighter than ever. And then, it began to change. Lines of light moved across its surface like veins, filling with energy. The symbol shifted again. A new message appeared. The others come. Eli stepped back. Who's the others? Lena swallowed hard. I don't think the Virex are the only ones out there. Above Earth, the alien ship remained in orbit, but it was no longer alone. A second ship arrived, then a third, then more. They were different from the Virex vessel, larger, more aggressive looking. Their hulls were jagged, covered in weapons. They did not send messages. They did not wait. They opened fire. Energy beams shot down from the sky. The first hit struck the edge of New Haven. The shockwave cracked buildings, knocked out power lines, and sent people running. Alarms screamed through the city. War had begun in Dao. The command center chaos spread. Shields are failing, someone shouted. Casualties reported in Sector 5. Are we launching a counterattack? Granger stood frozen. He had spent years preparing for disasters, earthquakes, disease, resource shortages. But nothing had prepared him for this. He turned to Lena. Tell me we can stop this. She looked at Eli. He didn't hesitate. We can try. He ran from the room, followed by Lena and their team. They returned to the tunnels, to the spire. As they entered the chamber, the spire pulsed. Wildly, lights flashed. Symbols spun like wheels. Eli stepped forward. We need to shut it down, he said. How? Tina asked. Lena scanned the symbols. She recognized some from the old files. This, she said, pointing to a symbol shaped like a circle with lines inside. It looks like a control panel. Marcus pulled out a scanner. It's emitting a frequency. Maybe we can override it. They worked fast, connecting wires, adjusting signals, trying to speak the language of a machine built by beings who had vanished long ago. Finally, the spire responded. The lights dimmed, the hum softened, the message changed. Warning, containment weakening, seal required. Eli looked at Lena. Can we do it? She wasn't sure. We have to try. They reached for the central console. The spire reacted, a flash of light, and then a voice. You seek to close the gate, so be it. The chamber filled with sound. The walls vibrated, the floor shook, then silence. The spire went dark. And above, in orbit around Earth, the alien ship stopped firing. One by one, they turned and disappeared into the stars. The attack had ended, for now. Later that night, Eli and Lena stood outside the entrance to the tunnels. The city was quiet again, but they knew the peace wouldn't last. Somewhere out there, more ships were coming, more voices were watching. And beneath the surface of Mars, something still waited. Eli looked at Lena. "We bought time," he said, "but not forever." She nodded. "No, not forever." The silence after the attack didn't last long. In the days that followed, Earth was no longer alone in space. More ships arrived. Some were like the Virex, sleek, fast, and quiet. Others were brutal, jagged things built for war. They circled, the planet like wolves around a fire. No one knew what they wanted. Some said they came for peace. Others believed they came to end humanity before it could spread. But the truth was more complicated. Back in New Haven, Eli and Lena worked nonstop. They studied the spire, the files, and everything they had learned so far. The Virex had warned them about something buried beneath Mars. They called it the Gate. And now, it seemed to be waking up. Eli stood in front of the dark structure, his hands on his hips. "We need to shut it down completely." Lena looked at him. "We don't even know how it works. But we have to try," he said, "before someone else decides to destroy us." Outside the tunnels, the city buzzed with fear. People had seen the alien ships. They had felt the shockwaves of battle. Some wanted to fight back. Others wanted to surrender. Director Hal Granger tried to keep order. He spoke to the people through broadcasts, telling them not to panic. But panic had already begun. People argued in the streets. Should we trust the Virex? Are we ready for this? What if we never should have come out of hiding? Even inside the command center, opinions were split. "We need to build weapons," said General Vance, a military leader. "If they come again, we won't survive." Another attack. "But we don't know who they are," Lena said. "And we don't know what we're fighting." Granger looked tired. "What do you suggest?" Lena turned to Eli. "We send a message, not just to the Virex, to everyone watching." Eli nodded. "We tell them who we are, that we're not a threat, that we're trying to understand." General Vance scoffed. "That's not how war works." "This isn't just war," Lena said. "This is first contact, and we're not ready for it." As tensions rose on Earth, something changed beneath the surface. The spire began to glow again, not red or yellow, but deep blue. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Then a new message appeared. "You are not alone. Others remember you." Eli stepped closer. "Who's others?" Lena frowned. "I think we're not just dealing with the Virex anymore." She reached out and touched the spire. A flash of light filled the chamber, and then a voice. Not the Virex. Not human. Something older. "We are the Keepers. We sealed the gate. You have undone our work." Everyone in the room froze. Tina Bell, standing near the entrance, whispered, "Did that thing just talk to us?" Lena swallowed hard. "Yes," the voice continued. "The galaxy grows restless. Your beacon has been seen. Many will come. Some will bring peace. Most will bring death." Eli looked at Lena. "We've made things worse." Lena nodded. "We woke them up." The voice stopped. The lights dimmed. But the message stayed on, the spire's surface. "Choose wisely." Above Earth, the skies grew darker. More ships arrived. Some hovered silently. Others opened fire without warning. New Haven wasn't the only underground city under threat. Reports came in from other settlements. Power failures, strange signals, and attacks. People fled deeper into the tunnels. Children cried. Families packed what little they had. In the command center, Granger sat in silence. He stared at the screen showing the alien ships. Then he spoke. "We can't hide forever." Lena stepped forward. "We don't have to hide. We can show them we're not a danger." "How?" he asked. By proving we understand what we've done, she said, and by trying to fix it. Granger looked at her for a long time. Then, he nodded. Do it. Eli and Lena returned to the spire. They brought Marcus, Tina, and Ravi with them. Their goal was clear. They needed to send a message across space, a message that would reach every ship orbiting Earth. They used the old data drives they had found in the archives. They pulled together Earth's history, its music, its art, its science. They included images of forests, oceans, cities, and people. They even added videos of children laughing, farmers working, and astronauts looking out over Earth. They wanted to show who they were, not warriors, not conquerors, but survivors. Lena typed the final line. We are not your enemy, we are learning, please may you help us. Then Eli activated the spire. The lights flared, the cymbals spun, the hum became loud enough to feel in their bones, and then the message left Earth. It traveled faster than light, across the stars, to places they had never known. The response was not immediate, but when it came, it changed everything. One by one, the alien ships began to move. Some turned away, some vanished, but others remained. The Virex sent a reply. Your message is heard. We will watch, but others may not be kind. Then came another signal, from the Yao, beings calling themselves the Keepers. You have chosen peace for now, but the gate still stirs. You must seal it before it opens fully. Lena read the message aloud. She looked at Eli. They want us to stop whatever is beneath Mars. He nodded. Then that's where we go next. Preparations began quickly. A small team was formed. Eli, Lena, Tina, Marcus, and Ravi were chosen to lead the mission. They would travel to Mars. They would find the gate, and they would try to seal it before it was too late. New Haven helped them prepare. They built a spacecraft using old designs and modern upgrades. It was small but strong. They trained for weeks. They studied maps of Mars. They reviewed everything they had learned from the spire. And finally, the day came. They stood on the launch pad, looking up at the sky. There were no stars, only clouds and dust. But above, beyond the clouds, lay their future. Eli looked at Lena. You ready? He asked. She smiled. As I'll ever be. They climbed aboard the ship. The engines roared, and with a burst of fire, they left Earth behind. The trip to Mars took weeks. Eli, Lena, Tina, Marcus, and Ravi traveled aboard a small ship built from old Earth technology and new underground engineering. It wasn't fancy, but it was strong. They spent their time studying, resting, and preparing for what lay ahead. They knew they were going to find something dangerous, something buried deep beneath the Martian surface. The gate. The spire on Earth had warned them. The gate stirs. And now, somewhere under the red dust of Mars, that warning might become real. As the ship entered orbit around Mars, the crew looked out at the planet below. It was dry, rocky, and silent. No signs of life, just wind and dust. Marcus checked the sensors. We're picking up a signal. It's faint, but it matches the one from the spire. Lena leaned over his shoulder. That means we're close. Eli gave the order. Let's land. The ship descended through the thin atmosphere and touched down near an ancient crater. According to maps and data from the spire, this was where the gate was hidden. Outside, the air was cold and thin. The team wore suits with oxygen tanks. They stepped onto the dusty ground and looked around. This place is dead, Tina muttered. But not empty, Lena said. Something is here. They followed the signal deeper into the crater. The terrain was rough, filled with jagged rocks and deep cracks in the ground. After hours of walking, they reached a flat area covered in strange markings. The symbols were the same ones they had seen on the spire in New Haven. Ravi scanned the ground. There's something beneath us. A structure. Big. Marcus pointed at a crack in the rock. Looks like a door. Eli stepped closer. He placed his hand on the edge of the crack. As he did, the symbols lit up. A low hum filled the air, and then the ground began to move. The rock split open with a deep groan, revealing a dark passage leading downward. The team looked at each other. Go in, Eli said. They entered slowly, lights glowing in the darkness. The walls were smooth and metallic. The air felt heavier the deeper they went. At last they reached a large chamber. In the center stood another spire, taller than the one on Earth. It pulsed with light, just like before. But this time, there was more. Behind the spire was a massive stone-like wall. It was covered in carvings, images of stars, ships, and beings, unlike anything they had ever seen. Lena walked forward. She ran her fingers over the carvings. "These are warnings," she whispered. "This place, and it was built to keep something locked away." Tina looked uneasy. "What kind of something?" No one answered. Suddenly the spire reacted. Light flared. Symbols spun across its surface. Then came the voice, clear and calm. "You have come to seal the gate." Eli stepped forward. "Yes. Many have tried. None have succeeded." Lena spoke next. "We're not here to fight. We want peace." The voice paused. "Then you must understand what lies beyond the gate." The wall behind the spire began to glow. Images appeared, scenes of destruction across the galaxy, planets burning, ships falling, beings screaming. "This is what will return if the gate opens." Eli swallowed hard. "What is it?" "A force older than stars. It was sealed long ago. By the Keepers, by the Virex, by many others." The voice grew softer. "It waits. It listens. It remembers." Lena asked, "How do we stop it?" The spire pulsed once. "By choosing." A panel lit up on the floor. 3 symbols appeared. One glowed red. One glowed blue. One glowed white. Eli looked at Lena. "What does this mean?" She studied the symbols. "I think they represent choices: fight, hide, or seal." Marcus frowned. "Seal how?" The voice answered. "Seal with memory, with knowledge, with sacrifice." Everyone fell silent. Tina broke it. "So someone has to stay?" The voice confirmed it. "One must remain, bound to the gate, forever." Eli looked at the group. "It has to be me." "No," Lena said quickly. "We can find another way." "There isn't time," Eli replied. "If I don't do this, the gate stays open and whatever is inside comes out." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to." He smiled gently. "I do." Eli stepped forward and placed his hand on the white symbol. The chamber shook. Light filled the room. The voice spoke again. "The choice is made. The gate is sealed." The spire dimmed. The wall behind it solidified. And Eli, he began to fade. His body turned to light, then gone. Only his voice remained. "Tell Earth we did it." Back on Earth, the skies cleared. The alien ships that had hovered above vanished. Some left peacefully. Others disappeared without a trace. The Virex sent a final message: "You have proven wisdom. You may yet survive among the stars." The Keepers responded, "The gate is sealed. For now, guard your world well." In New Haven, people gathered in the Central Plaza. They watched the sky, now free of warships. Director Granger stood beside Lena as she returned from Mars. She held Eli's final message. She read it aloud to everyone. "We are not alone, but we are not afraid. We grow not in shadows, but in light." Silence followed. Then applause. Then hope. Time passed. Earth changed. The underground cities opened to the surface. People built homes beneath the open sky. Farms stretched across the land. Clean water flowed again. Spaceports were built. New ships were launched. Humanity was no longer hiding. They were exploring. They were learning. They were growing. Lena became a teacher. She taught history, science, and the truth about what happened during the fall and after. Tina joined the security forces, helping protect Earth from future threats. Marcus worked on space tech, building better ships. Ravi studied Mars, searching for more clues about the past. And Eli? He became a legend, a name spoken with respect, a symbol of courage. Years later, a new ship prepared to leave Earth. It was heading to a distant star system. On board were scientists, explorers, and diplomats. Lena stood on the launch pad, watching. The ship rise. She thought of Eli, of the gate, of everything they had done. She smiled, because now, for the first time in centuries, humanity was not afraid of the stars. They were reaching for them, and they would never grow in shadows again.